Hey everybody, it's Jamie.
And Danny. And we are live from the Harn with another okay video. Today's video we plan to try to keep short and precise and just general guidance.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just
short
the facts.
and sweet.
Short and sweet. Yeah, so we've got states locking down around the country. We've got shelter in place coming already in a lot of places. And Danny and I are on day 14. We are starting to see a little bit of wear and tear, and this is just dealing with whatever. And we're just giving you guys
you should
insights.
give them a little brief story on day 13. That was yesterday. It was a big day here at the Harn. For those of you who weren't aware.
It was my birthday.
Yeah, we had the birthday girl here.
And it was really awesome. I mean, I knew my birthday would be memorable because of the coronavirus, but it was just really great. You know, we had phone calls with family and friends and
had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. So, anyways, go to Facebook if you want to see what I did. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, today we have some updates on where Minnesota is. And as we talked about in the last video on house arrest, Minnesota seems to be positioning itself to do some really good things. And, but today's outbreak, or today's press conference started with some pretty shocking announcements. Number one, Governor Walz was on the webcam from his home because he is now in quarantine because his bodyguard tested positive for coronavirus, COVID-19. And Peggy's brother, Peggy Flanagan, our lieutenant governor, her brother, who lived in Tennessee, has passed now from the virus. And Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota, her husband is hospitalized with the virus. So this is really striking home in Minnesota.
And our hearts really go out to Peggy and her family.
For sure.
Her father had just transitioned not too long ago, so this is doubly difficult for them with everything else.
Right, for sure.
And that's kind of the big news here in Minnesota. That's where we're at. I think there's a good plan in place, and it's just, a few days, 3-4 days at a time. That's how we got to take it, small bites.
Yeah, and Minnesota's looking good. They're looking to move PPE around. They're looking to make sure that they are planning for food, and they're looking at all the information, trying to figure out when they're going to close down. Now, we have some ideas about what might happen, and you want to explain to him about the burn and how. So this whole idea of how we deal with this is you have to make sure that you keep your infection rate low, because
we're learning.
Yeah, see the notes if you want to know what that was all about. But we have to keep the infection rate low, the contagion rate low, because we don't want too many people to get sick too fast and overrun our hospitals. But in order to keep the contagion rate low, that means you have to keep people inside. Nobody can go anywhere because this stuff is so freaking contagious. So we're locking down to only essential personnel or reducing a lot of the businesses that are open. And that's great, but at some point you have to keep your economy going. You have to keep people getting food to the grocery stores. You have to keep gas getting to the gas stations. You have to keep hospitals. All these things have to keep functioning, and that requires a certain level of participation in the economy. But if you, lock down too fast, you could crash your economy, which is way worse than a pandemic potentially. But if you keep locked down, you can help keep your hospitals from getting overwhelmed.
I believe this is like very similar to fighting a wildfire. We know the fire's coming, it's going to burn through, and you try to prepare as best you can, and it burns through, and then you go in and clean up the mess and treat survivors. And with this, as fast and as hot as it's moving, that's how it's going to kind of burn through the country.
Yeah, so we see right now, we've been saying, watch what's happening overseas, watch what's happening in the places before us, and the time is coming closer and closer to where I think we're going to see Minnesota locked down, probably by middle to end of the week.
Yeah, we'll have links below in the doodly-doo to the places, the sources we use, the Lancet, the
Peak Prosperity, dude.
Prosperity.
The Chickadee videos.
Another medical journal I can't think of right now. Something about internal medicine. I read that one too.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff coming out. And I'm sure you guys are all finding stuff too. So
And Johns Hopkins University
share that
still
with
has a
us.
really good dashboard online just to give you a picture, a bird's eye view of what's going on globally, if you're interested in that. And if you're not, hey, you don't have to look.
Yeah, but it was, we were watching that from the very beginning, and then it went from cities to states, and then it was like, oh
Yeah,
no.
we freaked out because now all they're going to tell us is how many per state. That doesn't tell me anything. And I
It doesn't tell
realize
you where it's
today
at.
now they're populating the map with little red dots for counties in the United States. So you get an accurate picture.
Right.
It's really,
Even better than what
it's
you
eerie
had.
watching the picture come into focus like you're developing it in a dark room.
Yeah.
And it's getting clearer how bad this is.
Yeah. So, I mean, so as you guys are processing through, we're here and we've been doing this quarantine thing for a while. We can give you some tips and tricks. And we live in a 1,000 square foot space with, not a lot of place to escape to. But we get along.
Before this started, we only went to town maybe once a week usually.
Well, yeah, on a good week. We like to stay home. So we've figured out, and even just in the last few weeks, how to communicate with each other. And we have some tips and tricks. And plus, sometimes it's just talking to somebody else and getting it out of your own head so that it's not driving you crazy and you can kind of just see it and go, okay, that's what it was. And it just gives you a little perspective. So call us if you want, or if you think we're crazy. And
Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, that's okay.
But I just had a thought. For many of us, we haven't spent this much time with family members in a long time. And for some of us, the last time we spent this much time at home with our family, we moved out. That's not an option, unfortunately, right now. And unless you can't keep from going out, then you may need to just isolate yourself.
Well, and
you don't bring any harm to other people you care about.
Yeah, and the other thing, because you don't want to be bringing this thing home. I can't imagine living life knowing you brought this home to your family. If you had a choice. A lot of us don't have a choice. It's going to be happening, and I think that's what we need to remember is everybody's going to be dealing with this in varying degrees of ability. We've really got to be kind and understand that everybody's going to be looking at some level of loss, and everybody is looking at some level of fear and uncertainty. There are so many unknowns right now, and Danny and I don't know everything. We have some ideas. We're looking at the data. We're watching what's happening, and so we're
all learning.
We're all learning.
We all learn at different rates. Some of us can absorb and transition quickly. Others have a different process.
Well, and it depends on how you're looking at it.
It's overwhelming data.
There's a lot of data, and the numbers are kind of unfathomable when you really start seeing what they are. It's just kind of outside human capacity to really understand exponentials, and so it's not surprising that many of us are struggling with trying to understand.
It's like looking out at the ocean and just seeing what looks like a cloud and realizing it's a wave, and then starting to wonder how tall is that wave way out there in the distance.
But yeah, for a long time you can't even comprehend it's a wave because...
And if it's too large, our brains just don't even see it. It's not there. We just see the water because that's obviously not what's really there.
Yeah, you'll try to make sense out of it based on your experience to date.
But
and none of us has experience with this to date, so yeah.
Be kind to your shelter buddies.
Yeah, love each other. Be kind.
Pets are glad everybody's home. They get all the attention all the time.
Yeah, they do. Be kind to your Zoom mates who have animals to keep you happy.
Yes. And drink water.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.